Good evening, and welcome to the City of Bloomfield Hills City Commission meeting for Tuesday, July 14th, 2026. The first item on the agenda is to call to order and the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Does anybody have any questions, comments, corrections?
Nothing for me.
Okay, anybody else? The only thing I wanted to make a comment on is I've had several residents, I don't know if they're finding out or what, but they're talking, Leah, about Woodward and the closing of Woodward. Was that really necessary? And anyway, I've had a lot of people ask about, do you know what it's going to do? And I said yes, but the commission felt that a shorter time period would be less painful. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so I just wanted to say that a lot of residents have asked me about that.
An extension of that request, so can you remind me if we did it with one lane closure, the other alternative was gonna take how long? Just so we have the ammunition.
It would take 2 years.
2
Because
years.
they have to close a full direction of traffic and shift and just keep one direction open. So it would take
So
3 to 6 months to do one side and another 3 to 6 months to do the other side. So 2 construction seasons.
okay, so 3 years versus
3 months,
3
right?
months? Because they're fully closing it, is that, I just want the data there. Okay, thank you.
The only other thing too I saw is the third application of the chip seal was completed for Trowbridge.
Yes.
How is that going?
It's good.
It's very good. The only thing a little bit different about this one is that, I don't know if it's because it's so dry, but there's this really fine dust that I don't remember having before, but it's quite prevalent.
If people drive fast, it just, yeah, it is.
But-
We haven't had enough rain.
But other than that, it's looks great.
Yes.
Good, I'm glad.
Good. Okay. If there's no other questions, can I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as it's written in tonight's agenda.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, great. Next agenda item is, this is recognition of citizens in the audience. The individual comments are limited to 3 minutes per person, and it's for something, and if it's not on the agenda. So it's, if anybody has any questions? Okay, nobody in the audience. The next item on the agenda is the commission will consider a donation from Mr. Frederick
Duet.
Jouet,
Yes, yes.
Jouet, for the Department of Public Safety gym room. I literally Googled your name to see how to say it. So Dave, you want to take this one?
Yeah, so the commission was gracious in allowing us to redo the gym that's in the basement of the Public Safety Department. It's probably needs some updating in a while, so the commission has provided a budget for that. But we're wanting some extra things, I think, as we were going through the planning process. And Mr. Jouet had come into to City Hall several times to talk with me. I really appreciate his willingness and to donate to the health and wellness of the officers of the Public Safety Department. Mr. Jouet also knew that we had a public safety officer, Sergeant Steve Splant, who passed away here from a heart attack. And we really appreciate Mr. Jouet's heartfelt kindness and support for our city and our public safety officers' health. Mr. Jouet is the owner of Macu Health and kind of provided a bio about him, and maybe I could read that if you wouldn't mind. Mr. Jouet's life reflects a sustained commitment to public safety and public service. He was born and educated in France. He served with the distinction in the French Navy as a frogman, which is an elite combat swimmer role. And he remains active in veteran causes through charitable giving, volunteering, and support of legislative initiatives on Capitol Hill alongside fellow Special Operations veterans serving in Congress. He immigrated to the United States in 1991 and became a citizen in 1999. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's the founder and sole owner of Avantis Group, whose portfolio includes MacuHealth, which is right across the street, Memory Health, Natura Medica, and Safe Balance, which centers around, largely on the science of human health and wellness, a focus consistent with the purpose of this gift. He also is a co-founder and a majority shareholder of Highbury Partners, a private equity firm, a former Wall Street finance manager and professor of law at institutions including University of Michigan and the University of Detroit Mercy. He holds a law degree from the University of Michigan Law School. So we don't have many people knocking down the doors to donate to the city, and we think it's a real need that we have, and we're very excited. I know the Public Safety Department is very excited about this new gym, and so he just came in at the right time, so we really appreciate it, and we recommend that you accept this gift. If you
Any
wanna
questions?
say any
Do you want to
words
say
or-
something?
No, it was like my marketing department. Good job, I'm glad you wrote it.
Anybody have any questions for him?
Can we approve it?
All we need is a motion to approve the donation.
I move to accept with sincere appreciation the donation of $15,000 from Mr. Frederick Jewett, dedicated to the memory of Sergeant Steve Splan, to be used exclusively toward the complete remodeling of the public safety gym in support of the physical health and well-being of the city's public safety officers. To direct the city manager to administer the funds consistent with the donor's intent, and to authorize a formal letter of appreciation to Mr. Jewett on behalf of the city commission.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Mr. Jewett, thank you very much for your generous gift, and especially for honoring Sergeant Spleen, wasn't it?
Land, yeah.
Spleen, it was, so thank you, that's very kind.
You have a very unique fire department and police department. There's very few people in this country that have scored are actually doing both.
Yeah,
So keep that in shape.
that's very nice.
Yes.
Yeah, they're, we know what we have. They're special, the residents of Durham. Thank you very much. Okay, with that, the next item on the agenda is the commission will consider the request of the resident for relief from the assessed late tax penalty. Amy, do you want this one, or Dave? What do you want?
Amy?
Or Sandra, I should say, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Sandra, you do the short straw.
Mr. Alter called me a couple weeks ago and was disappointed that he had a penalty on his tax bill. And the situation that occurred was he mailed his tax payment from his Florida residence back in the end of December. And he mailed it directly to our lockbox. The lockbox did not receive it until February 26th. And they, promptly posted his payment, but the payment was actually due on February 14th, or this year it was the 16th. And then the 3% was applied. So he was asking for relief.
I read your motion. I read what 2 years ago, I would have never agreed to this, but considering 30% of my mail is being returned to my office right now, a month and a half and 2 months later, including my checks to other people, I think that this is not inappropriate in this situation. And I'd move that we, how do we terminate?
I think we should have some deliberation, just a
Yeah, okay.
second, please. Brad?
You're right.
Just a quick question, was there a postmark on, was it postmarked consistent with what he was saying?
Yes, I did receive
Okay.
a copy. The bank does retain the envelopes, and it was postmarked in December.
Okay.
But I would like to say that that the mail is, that is our policy to not accept postmark. And I've had many other residents also have the same situation. And I did send notices right after the due date to all residents, and he didn't respond at that time that his payment hadn't been received. So for consistency reasons, I'm actually, if I may, I don't recommend waiving the penalty because it has happened many times, and I think consistency is, fair.
How much was the penalty?
From the city, it was $80.
$3,200.
Or I'm sorry, yes, it was $80-some. And he referenced in his email or his letter that that there's a mailbox rule, but the Property Tax Act actually says you may accept postmarked, but it doesn't say you must or you shall. So just, I know we've had other residents request the penalty to be waived, but it's just.
And you've
my
told them no.
recommendation. Right.
Yeah.
Well, and it has come before our commission before as well.
Once.
Has it
Is it-
happened more frequently in the last 3 years?
Yes.
I mean, it's hard for me to know, but I will definitely say the post office has worsened over the years. So,
I'm forewarned, if we reject this, this is an invitation for the class action for all the rejections throughout the city and throughout the county. I get so much of my mail back now. If it's postmarked that date, I think the postmark rule would supersede in any court, and I'd like to just move on. That's why I'm just really uptight about it. It's not like I'm doing any special, this is not someone who I want to do a favor for. Trust me on that. I just think that we should, do
And
what
that would be the policy going forward as well?
Yeah, because we would be looking at a lot of these.
I
Like, we
think,
would be refunding everybody who postmark, like, we could have somebody postmark it the day before it's due and say, I postmarked it. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Yeah.
then let's set a,
It's
let's
possible for them to postmark
set a
it, not
council,
submit.
let us set a council rule that
you can do that.
it's gotta be postmarked, 6 days before or something like
Oh.
that. I don't know,
Right.
I mean, just, if you want,
Mark, do you have something?
I think for consistency purposes, you should treat this just like any other request and do what you've done in the past. I'm not, although it may result in a suit, I would be surprised if there was much exposure there because, as I understand the statute, it allows the city to make these refunds, but it doesn't require it. And consistent with the past practices of the city, I think it's important to be consistent.
Yeah, we have never done it. We haven't done it in the 11 years I've been on this, and it's only come in front of us once, and prior council did the same thing, that you're gonna open up a can of worms. I mean, this is $89.
Sandra, you said you contacted them about, was that prior to the due date, or?
So we always send out a notice after the due date to
Oh,
give
after, yeah.
residents
Just
time
piece
to
of
pay
litigation,
between
I have to
February
show you.
14th and March 1st, because March 1st, we turn over all delinquent taxes to the county and we no longer can accept payment. So that's been our practice.
I don't know, I mean, every commissioner can say what they want, but I think we do this, we're just gonna open it up to future, we'll be going to every meeting, looking at
So
people.
can I clarify, do you send him in the mail a notice that he missed it?
Yes.
But, okay.
I tell you, this is really a problem for old lawyers who handwrite addresses. I mean, I have tried to buy a Selectric typewriter so I can type addresses. I can't get one for less than $900, which I can buy a computer for less, and I think you're really punishing a lot of residents. Come next November, you wait and see. I'm getting 25% of my mail back.
I'm sorry. I didn't
Well,
mean to interrupt.
we'll just have your vote.
I was just gonna say, we do offer a number of other avenues to pay their taxes. as
Yeah,
well.
there's a lot of others, you can go online, tell me the other avenues you have.
Sure, you can go online and pay ACH direct, or you can pay by credit card. You could drop it in our Dropbox, and of course, you can always come into the city and pay by Visa or check, cash.
I think can you call? I thought we used to have an option for calling
You can
too.
call Oakland County.
Yeah, you can call Oakland County and you can have it. There's other options besides writing a check in an envelope
Okay.
and addressing it. You can make a phone call. My mother is 91 years old and she calls because she doesn't trust her writing, just like to your point. So. Okay, any other questions or comments? And do I have a motion either way?
Just another comment, I think that for all the folks that end up having, that end up paying it and understanding that, you know, for whatever reason, the mail was late, maybe they sent it prior to, but it ended up, showed up later, they pay the fee, so is it fair to them that we single out one person who sends a note and refund them? And I think if we're going to do this, we need to do it for everybody.
Retroactive.
And if we're not willing to do it for everybody, then we need to reject this.
People write the check,
Thank
they're
you.
late because of the post office.
I agree.
Justify it with what
Good
they
point.
have.
I move that we reject the request.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Okay,
I'm
all
sorry.
those, I mean, the motion was to reject the request. And Brad seconded it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yes.
Okay, that's your right. I'm an aye too, Amy.
I'm old, you know, I mean, you gotta stay, I write all my checks, I mean, I like.
That's fine, that's fine. Okay, next item on the agenda, the commission will hear a presentation. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, is that right? Yes, okay, the commission will hear a presentation on the landscape open space. I was looking at the Columbus. I was moving ahead. I know, sorry. Sorry. Okay. Amy.
Thank you. Okay, first, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you for the time to speak to the commission. I happen to be the one speaking, but this is definitely a group effort. So from city staff to consultants to even applicants and petitioners when they come in. You saw today at Planning Commission that people in the community have ideas. And certainly people in the community had ideas when we talked to them about landscape open space and how it's applied and how it affects their projects or their properties. So thank you. Thanks for letting me be here. In the presentation, I want to accomplish 3 things. I hope to communicate what open space is currently on our ordinance, what our team found as we took years of data and years of project review to find these nuanced items that we're bringing to you today. And 3, what we are recommending as potential amendment for the City Commission to consider. So I'm gonna have an issue because I need my glasses to see far away, but I need a different pair of glasses to see up close.
Get your other pair.
Right. So what is open space? Open space is the pervious ground. Everything you see that we cherish in the master plan, that we cherish in our projects that go to planning and zoning, lawn, gardens, trees, undisturbed soil. The master plan was clear about single-family homes on large tree-lined lots are a priority to maintain. What open space does, it manages water. You've all sat through several planning and zoning meetings, and when we looked at this, we really found that stormwater is something that the City Commission has talked about for, I would say, probably with seriousness in the last 5 years. I think there's been 2 proposed amendments, maybe in the last 6 years, that weren't adopted, but it brought the conversation to the City Commission about how important stormwater management is. 2, it sustains the tree canopy and natural features. I'm not gonna read this all to you, but basically just hit on the high points. Open space is the community, the character of the community. It maintains the homes in scale with their land. So to guarantee, the landscape open space ordinance guarantees a certain percentage of each district, of each zoning district to be open and green and or natural. Why it matters for Bloomfield Hills. The master plan talks about development is constant. There's a trend for tear down and redevelopment. And really when projects come in, that's the time to apply and to maintain that character and the city's value of open space and green lots, tree-lined streets, low density. Open space is the city's stormwater infrastructure. Unlike other communities, our neighbors, the city of Bloomfield Hills does not have a structured and a long-term stormwater system. So where other communities may have different systems to handle lot coverage and to handle their stormwater, in the city of Bloomfield Hills, you see it at Planning Commission, there's a lot of times where HRC and Giffords-Webster in their reviews are encouraging projects to look at alternatives that may not necessarily be captured in our requirements, but they're encouraged because we've sat through a lot of meetings and we hear from neighbors their concern about water. Water is probably a daily call that we get from residents about stormwater or about issues they may be having with their properties. You can interrupt me if there's things.
It's okay, keep going, you're doing a good job.
So there's two exceptions in the landscape open space right now that we wanted to focus on that we felt were contrary and didn't support those goals and the values of the city of having tree-lined streets and open space and natural terrain. So the first is the driveway exception. Right now in the current ordinance, a project can have an exception for a garage bay area up to 20 by 20, in addition to a driveway route from that garage bay to the street, and that can be 10 feet wide. And that exception, while the material of that driveway or that pad is not considered, it is counted as open space. So if you have a driveway that is from your garage to the street and you happen to have a very long lot, very narrow lot, you are getting a greater credit than your neighbor that may be very close to the street. They put their house closer to the street and their backyard is their area and natural terrain. That home doesn't get the same credit, and just functionally, it is not open space. It is not that material. It is a material that is prohibitive. Yeah.
But we have to allow people to get to their homes with a driveway
Oh, sure.
and also have a reasonable patio. And these are very large lots, so I don't think that's appropriate. And we are very hilly, so you can't always make a direct line because it's too steep with the ice and the snow. So I think that, I don't agree with that in any way.
So the exception is not saying you can't have a driveway, and it's not saying that you can't have a patio. It's saying that in looking in total, and that's why we're here, to talk about all of these opinions, but looking in total.
What you're saying is that the driveway has to be included in their total open space. And I don't think that's fair to 90% of the homes that are already built. I just don't think that applies in this.
I understand that position. I personally, and this maybe I'm not speaking for the team here, but I use very simple language. And I just see it as a driveway is not green space. It is not lawn. And for consistency of keeping everything.
Commissioner Fisher and I are both in a position, since we're neighbors, as we know well, we have long driveways, and if you take away that from the open space, I don't think my house is buildable.
It's not taking it away, it's
Yeah.
adding it.
No, but if you're including it, you couldn't build any kind of house.
Yeah, if you don't include that in the open space, there wouldn't be enough open space to build a house of my size. And I think what you need is, like, the problem is some of our lots, I mean, we bought, we built
Very
those
steep.
houses.
You
And
have to go like
All this is doing is adding to your open space calculation.
I know, it's making you include your driveway in that calculation, and that is
No, it's-
unfair to
maybe
people
we-
who
it's not
live
your
on
actu-
a steep terrain.
It's
Are we
not your
miss-
actual driveway, it has nothing to do with the terrain, this is a calculated credit. It's the shortest distance from the road to the garage. It doesn't matter what your driveway
I guess
actually
I'm
looks
saying
like.
that you deserve to be able to get to your house. And
This is not saying that at all.
I think the worry I got is, both of us have these curves. I mean, otherwise, my house would be a perfect roller coaster, visit, because there's, 56 feet in height difference. And so our driveway goes back, we got
It
S.
doesn't matter what the terrain is, it's a straight, it's like a plan view of your property, and you look at the shortest distance from the street to the garage, and then there's a 20 by 20 pad there, and you calculate the area of that space, and you are given back that as open space, it's a credit.
It's
But how-
benefiting
It's
your
benefiting
calculation.
you.
But how about the rest of the curve?
No, you're saying you're including it in the calculation.
No,
No,
It
it's
has to
benefiting your
be-
calculation.
it's giving you a credit. You're getting credit for your driveway.
For the whole driveway or
You're
just?
saying the
part?
driveway is not open space, so we're gonna have provide more
She's-
open space
Amy is just
elsewhere
saying that-
because we have to calculate and add in, we have to,
On a technical basis, I think Amy is just saying and pointing out that a driveway is not actually pervious, but we are giving you credit for it being pervious.
Correct.
But
should
how
be
mu-
included in the
but the-
calculation.
There's 186 feet.
You're
in this-
getting a credit.
Okay, I know there's a lot of, because anywhere there's hills, there's 186 feet straight line from the street to the house, right? It takes me 785 feet to get there. Does that mean the other 600 feet are not gonna be considered part of the open space?
Whatever the area calculated directly from the street to your house, if you have a very circuitous driveway that goes all over your property before it gets to the garage, a portion of that may not be part of the credit because it's based on the straight shot from the road to the garage. That is the credit you're allowed. It's giving you more open space in the calculation, which is helpful to you if you want to build more on your property. It's helpful.
So I don't see how it's helpful.
Yeah, we're just having-
That's
we're having-
currently, that's what it is currently. That's not what our proposal is. So currently, if Susan's house only has one driveway and the shortest route from her garage to the street, that is the calculation that she is allowed to have as the driveway.
And it's calculated in an open space.
If you're
It's
credited that.
excluded.
It's
You're
added,
credited.
it's
Right.
added to the open space.
Yeah.
If her neighbor has, their home is set back farther, and that path from their garage to the street is calculated, they get that credit as well. And my statement in simple terms was, you are each getting a credit, but the credit is based on your lot. It's different based on your lot size.
What happens if you have a driveway that doesn't go straight from the street?
Many don't, but the
And-
language is a straight driveway. That's not our proposal. That's how it is currently calculated. Maybe as I go through the
Okay,
slides,
I'm sorry.
no, I'm
That'd be
happy
fair.
to continue to help
Okay.
explain, because maybe I'm not using the best language for this presentation. So the other exception, the first exception is the driveway exception. And the other exception that currently you get if you're coming to the city with a proposal is a walkway and decorative exception. So impervious surfaces for pedestrian walkways, planters, decorative structures may be counted as open space. And there's a calculation there. Up to 30% of the total required landscape open space, you can get an exception credit for walkways and decorative features, although they are not open space. They're not green.
So you get the credit for the driveway exception and the credit for the walkways and other things.
Yes.
Okay.
And so when you look at the actual math of it, a walkway credit is 30% of the required open space, not 30% of the lot, which is the key to this language. And I know I'll probably rely on Commissioner Baxter to give his input, because it seems like you have a good handle on it as well. But on a minimum A1 lot, that's 20,000 square feet of impervious walkway that can be credited as open space, that is considered when you're looking at stormwater, when you're looking at lot coverage. That is a significant, that's nearly half an acre of hard surface that you're getting credited as lawn, which is actually hardscape. And when we went through these findings, this was the one that really just had the spotlight on it. It seems like it's not what was perhaps intended when the language was developed.
If I make a quick comments for perspective, the 20% well, 80% open space is required for A1. And so that leaves you with 20% left over for footprint of your house, and so 20% of A1, which is a minimum of 2 acres, is 17,400 square feet of a footprint of a house. That's less than this exception. There's something wrong here. Something got messed up along the way. I think my guess, and I don't know if it's right or not, but I would guess that it was meant to be the opposite. 30% of the footprint can be walkways, but it got flipped, and it's 30% of the open space, which is more than the footprint of the house.
On a 2-acre lot.
in every district.
In every district, it's the same calculation. Now it's going to be less space in a A3 that we're talking about, because A3 is 1 acre, right?
Right up here.
So this,
A2 is
I
1.5,
skipped ahead a little
and-
bit, but this kind of captures what Commissioner Baxter is talking about. In A1 district, the requirement or the ordinance says 80%, but when you include that 30%, it's actually guaranteed 56% of your lot is guaranteed green if you take all of that exemption of the 30% of the open space. And then by each district, you can see how that goes down and how that affects. I tend to simplify this,
Well,
but
it kind of doesn't make sense because the A1 lots are 2 acres and the A3 lots are 1 acre, and they're very similar in percentage, so that doesn't add up.
the
One
open
is half the size of the other, so I don't see how this math.
Well, these are percentages,
up.
not
That's
absolute numbers.
my point. I mean, I don't know.
So the open space changes for the A3 to A1, is that the point? That from 80% to 75%?
They shouldn't be treated the same, probably.
They are right now. The 30% applies to every district. So let me see and I can jump through these, if we feel like I've explained the point, but what the exceptions actually do in our research and our findings is that the exception only ever moves the lot in one direction, and that is toward more impervious surface. Giving these exceptions does not ever provide for a lot to be more green, or to have more trees, or to have more natural features. The exception only moves a property to have more impervious surface. And that's the current language that we have. Beyond just the math and how the logic behind it, there's the administration part of it. The discussion with applicants, is this considered a driveway? What is the straightest what is the most direct distance? Is this a walkway? Is this a patio? There are some discussions and judgments that have to come into play that if these exceptions were eliminated, it would be a very straightforward understanding about what each district has a requirement for open space. And a property wouldn't be penalized depending on where your home is located on the lot for your driveway distance. You wouldn't be penalized or benefit from your hardscape proposal. That last comment there in the under green, designed around, not for. People that work in the city often tend to engineer for the exceptions. So in one case, there was a proposal for a green roof on a sports court to try to get around the requirement because they were looking to try to find a way to remove or help their proposal. So creative ways, if taking out the exceptions would simplify and not require people to find creative ways to to plan their project.
Because then it would be like a bungalow or something that had a roof on it? How would that change the exception?
They were looking for pervious versus impervious. They were looking for green instead of the footprint. So they're trying, the point of that is create these exceptions, lend to some creative proposals that maybe don't lend to the values of the city with green space. So it's still a structure, but putting a green roof on it doesn't satisfy the open space. The creativity with proposals seems to be opened up when there's exceptions that they can try to navigate. at projects from, so we've actually been talking about landscape open space internally for many years. So we gathered data from 2020 to 2024, and every residential project and recalculated both of them with the exceptions and without the exceptions. So the pattern below is what we observed in real applications. This is not just a projection. In every project, all 25 projects, the ordinance permitted exceptions to allow more impervious area to count towards the open space. In 18 of the 25, removing the exceptions would have dropped the lot below the district minimum. So if you have an 80% or 75%, not giving the credit, and I understand this is your point, Commissioner Fisher, would mean that the standard wasn't met, but they were using the ordinance language to get additional impervious surface. And the driveway credit, I mean, that seems to, you hear it when people come to zoning board and they're looking for a way to, if they're requesting a landscape open space variance, they're looking for a way to shave off a few percentage of their landscape open space. They try to shrink their driveway. So that lends to the discussion of, so there are alternatives. There are alternative designs that a project could consider to be compliant with the landscape open space without the exceptions. These are 3 specific examples that our team looked at. The project met the district minimum on paper, but once you take those exceptions out, the same approved project lands below the requirement and would have required a variance. So those 3 projects had come through in that time frame between 2020 and 2024. We just picked 3 out of random, and those were the percentages. So significant enough where 5%, 6%, that has an impact on stormwater. And that really is the motivation for our first, when we brought this to City Commission back in March. We had been looking at stormwater ordinances for several years, and this seems to be a tangible way to have a simple amendment to an ordinance that supports natural features and stormwater protection, stormwater management. So I already said this, but each lot is only developed once. So when you're tearing down a property and rebuilding, and you come with a new home, we're recalculating that. The driveway many times is not the same. You all know in your neighborhoods, if a house is torn down and there's a new one, it rarely looks like it was. So this proposal is to consider a long-term solution to the trend in the city is bigger, more things on your property, more recreational uses on your property, and the time to do it is at the time of redevelopment. This is just a little timeline. We observed, like I said, we've been looking at this for a couple of years and really challenging each other, and we really wanted to make sure that we had the data, that we had several years and several projects that really vetted out what we thought we were finding and what we thought we were seeing with the landscape open space. So September 2024, October 2025, we shared it with the Planning Commission, and we brought it to City Commission in March, and that was how we were directed to bring it to Planning Commission. This just kind of talks about what our proposal is that we're only really looking at the districts that are not developed under site plan. So A1, A2, A3, A31, and A4 are the districts that we're suggesting that this amendment, by removing the 2 exceptions, could apply to. Because those other 2 districts, A5 and A6, those come through Planning Commission as development projects. And that landscape open space and the consideration of those developments, like you may see in Barton Hills or Chase Lane, those are handled differently than just a single family home. So this recommendation is not to interfere with any of those developments that come through Planning Commission for site plan. So our recommendation is to eliminate the 2 credits for driveways and walkways to make them count like every other hard surface would count on a property. And I think this may be the right time to say, we understand that if the commission and the Planning Commission are interested in considering this, there will be a period of time where we will have data and information together once we could do the same thing as we did with the exceptions now, to see if those percentages do need to be amended. But at this point, we don't see evidence of that in the information that we have. We think that removing the exceptions would help with administration of the ordinance as well as applicants understanding what they have to do. And they have the information up front then when they're planning their project.
Well, it's my understanding that you apply this to everyone on this commission's house, and none of us would comply.
I haven't done that math, so I
So
don't.
I think, I personally think this is egregious. People move to Bloomfield Hills to build the home of their dreams. I don't want McMansions. I like the trees and green space as well, but I don't think this is fair to our residents. And I think it's something the planning commission should look at, and we will consider their recommendations. But I also think you talk numbers and percentages, but it makes a lot more sense to show an applicant, and this is the kind of driveway and this is the kind of patio they could do or can't do. If you remove their freebie driveway and their freebie, walkways, you have to add that into the 20%. So their house plus their driveway plus their sidewalks all have to be 20% of the lot. That just seems upside down. It just seems.
I respect.
And
your
there are
opinion.
so many ways
It's not
to
what we
manage
found.
water. I mean, I live in Florida, and we all have to have a cistern underneath our driveway to capture our own water. And you can have French drains. There are so many ways to divert water and deal with water. And I applaud you guys for, insisting that they do a lot of those rain gardens or whatever.
I have a question for Leah. I hear everybody's comments, but I also think about the city going forward, and when we're not here anymore and our kids are hopefully living here. The comment that scared me with what Amy said is that we don't have I don't know if I'm going to use the right words, but we don't have a system to take all this water. Is that correct?
Correct.
So what our city is relying on is the green grass, the green space to be soaking up all of this water.
In a lot of areas, yes. You do have public storm sewer system in parts of the city that were built at the time to handle stormwater. Rain events are increasing over time. The homes that are being built on these lots are getting larger over time. What was built 50 years ago is not the same as what you currently have in your city. So yes, you are relying on a lot of your green space to absorb that stormwater.
So I would say, the homes we live in, we're not going to make them tear up driveways, and we're not going to make them tear up it's that the built homes are them. But you actually missed one of them, and that's in my neighborhood on Falmouth. And so the two of those, and then this one on Falmouth, they are 3,500 to 4,000 square foot homes built in 1955, 1956, and 57. They've all been torn down. There's one on Falmouth that was a 4,000 square foot home, a ranch. It was torn down, and an 8,000 square foot home is there. The driveway has to be. It was that short distance that you were using as an example. The original driveway was a short distance. That driveway is at least 5 times bigger. They set the house back, they put this big driveway in, and then they have a pool, and then they have a sport court back there. And guess what? The neighbors behind them, when it rains, during all the things, it floods. Even though You know what house I'm talking about, even though we asked them to put French drains in. French drains only, if I'm saying it, tell me if I'm wrong, but French drains can only take so much. They don't sake all the water in it and let it suck into the ground. It takes time to let that water to seep through. I guess what I'm saying is that every time a new big home is built, and that's nice that they do it, but we have to take into consideration that we have an old storm drain. Is that correct? Am I saying that right?
Older infrastructure in your city.
It's older infrastructure in our city that cannot take it, right? Yeah. And that, I don't know, I mean, it concerns me that we keep, they're just gonna continue to build these bigger houses.
Can I ask,
We never see a smaller house come forward. We always see something larger, we always see more. On our end, we always hear from planning commissioners and ZBA commissioners concern about stormwater, so that's what we're hearing from you guys.
Are we-
And it's a direct result of the larger stuff, more stuff on property.
are we gonna require a major infrastructure cost in the next 6 years?
No.
You foresee? Okay. Have we thought about trying to get some federal money for infrastructure redevelopment for storm drain? I'm especially at Lasser and, you know, the township, we have to work in the township, especially at Lasser and Hickory, which I think is a total dangerous disaster. I mean, we're 6 inches away from people being at risk for being flooded out.
We've looked at various areas over the years. I know it's a very costly project. A lot of it, there's concerns with where to outlet the water because you go through other communities. So citywide, that's a $1 billion task. Small areas we have looked at different times, but again, it's very, very costly for infrastructure improvements.
So I'm not sure if you want, there's a few more points. I can summarize them without going through the sides. Basically, there were discussion at Planning Commission about the city's ordinance versus neighboring community ordinances and how that compared. It's really difficult to apply. The city of Bloomfield Hills regulates open space similarly, but not really similarly to West Bloomfield and Birmingham. The percentages are much different in those other communities, and that's because they're different communities. They require different things, just as Bloomfield Hills does for to maintain the character. So the other communities in Bloomfield Township and Rochester Hills that were evaluated have a different model, and that model is to regulate buildings and not open space, as Bloomfield Hills does. So I know there was some discussion at different meetings about overhaul the structure of the ordinance, and I think that's probably a great endeavor to look into. If the planning commission was interested in doing that, or if the city commission wanted to assign that to anyone, staff or planning commission. But currently, we're just looking at a simple change to the exception, and what is considered green space.
So I can go back there for a minute. So what this is saying to me is that West Bloomfield and Birmingham do not allow for any driveway or walkway exceptions.
Correct.
And
You
there
can
have,
build all the way to the lot line, to the edge of in your backyard, Susan. You can build all the way, except for, I think, 5 feet in, all the way around, in the backyard. So,
In
so
Birmingham?
there,
I mean, you came from there, didn't you?
Yeah, you could,
Scott says,
Scott used to review
Scott.
them all.
Yeah, they have lot coverage 30% and then 40% minimum open space. So they cap your building footprint, and then 30%, if you max it out, which most people do, you have 30% left for the driveway, open space pool, anything that's not open space is limited to 30% after that. So you only need 40% open space in Birmingham. But
In
the
Birmingham?
lots are tiny, you know, most lots are 40 to 100 square feet, which driveways here can far exceed 100 square feet.
Oh, because the driveways are so small there.
Yeah.
Interesting. So what Commissioner Fisher was talking about, can you build to the lot line?
if it doesn't go above the surface, I thought it had to be something you see.
Your driveway can go to the property line, but the house or the detached garage is at least 3 to 5 feet on the sides.
Yeah, anything that's above 5 inches, I think, is considered in that calculation. So if it's a flat surface, impervious surface, you can put as much as you want in your backyard, is my understanding.
You can, but you're limited to you gotta have 40% open space. If it's impervious, they will count it against you.
They don't count it, right?
And so West Bloomfield too is the same thing, they have no exceptions of any kind.
No exceptions. And the interesting thing about those districts, I think I have another slide on it, but the minimum, this is it, the smallest lot, the largest lot in West Bloomfield, as compared to the Bloomfield Hills A1 district, it's just not, you can't compare the two. The measured against the minimum lot size in Bloomfield Hills, we already permit more impervious surface, even in the most restrictive district, than if we were to apply the other communities' current ordinance.
Yeah, our lot sizes are so much larger,
Yes.
and when you talk about percentages, you're actually allowing quite a lot of impervious surfaces, even without the exceptions. So,
So is it safe to say Birmingham allows you to build a big home, but there's no green space left?
There's very little.
Very
Okay.
cool.
That's the difference in character, I suppose.
So just another slide to indicate that point is adopting a neighboring community's percentage would reduce the preservation, not improve it. So the open space required today in A1 is 69,000. Under the West Bloomfield standard, it's 34,000. And that is just to highlight how unique Bloomfield Hills is and why the open space ordinance works here without the exceptions. Raw numbers, another way to highlight this. So applied to Bloomfield Hills' own minimum lot size standards to neighboring communities, West Bloomfield and Bloomfield Township, their ordinance for those districts are, you can see what is regulated. Open space required today in Bloomfield Hills is the 69,000. Under West Bloomfield, it's 34, and it goes down from there based on district. So we're not recommending a wholesale change of the City of Bloomfield Hills landscape open space ordinance. We're talking about maintaining the ordinance as it is and just removing the exceptions. This is pretty much the same. This is something that we just felt like we wanted to clarify, because when we were hoping to speak to the Planning Commission about it, there were some points that we wanted to document, and we're happy to, if we get the chance to talk to Planning Commission, happy to talk with them about this. But the original ordinance counted only buildings against open space, and that this was the point, and the city may not have applied it as it was written. And what we're looking at now is just the language that currently stands. We're not going back to see how it was applied or if it was done appropriately. We're looking at what the ordinance is now, how it's applied, and those are those 4 years of data that we looked at to come up with this proposal. Lot coverage and open space are different things. I just covered that with the other communities. Lot coverage is talking about buildings and hardscape on properties, and not the open space. There's discussion about stormwater and how important that is. That really is the driving force for this. When we look at how can we sit in a office hours monthly meeting with people that want to do a pool and a sports court and have a beautiful home, but yet there's a team of people that have to discuss how they're going to manage their stormwater. This open space is a foundation for keeping the green space and supporting the stormwater management.
There are other avenues to manage stormwater,
Absolutely.
a lot of them, and the engineering is incredible.
Yeah,
And you
absolutely.
could insist on so many things for them to retain all of their own water.
Mm-hmm. So those were the discussions that the city commission had over the past couple of years for those ordinances, with those proposals that didn't move forward. So this exception is another way.
I mean, I live in Florida, and the houses are close. There's
Everyone.
everyone. The stormwater is not a problem because everyone has to contain their own water, and they get deluged, 100% more than we do. And it's a matter of managing it. And there are other ways, I just think
Did you,
the 20% is very egregious. I think if you take examples of everyone on this commission, everyone on the planning commission, and you compare their open space and if you, I would guess the 20% wouldn't fly for any of us. Maybe those of you on a 3 acre or a 2 acre, but if you're on a 1 acre, or it's just egregious. I don't think it's fair. I think there are other ways to expect people to retain their own water.
did I understand that in the past, you did have some alternatives with, of on-site retention of water that would be served to help what you're,
And Leah's probably better, the one to answer this, but I don't think that's ever been required in an ordinance. I think it's things
Yeah,
that,
we've brought options of modifying the ordinance before commissioners in the past, for the past couple of years, and it's always been turned down. So we don't have a very strict ordinance on specific requirements. You can require things such as rain gardens and other items, but at the same time, there's maintenance that comes with that and making sure that the residents maintain those storm systems.
You can put rules in for that, and
We can,
There
but
is-
we don't have those right now.
And we
So
tried
that is-
and they
we
were
have
turned down.
tried
there's so many
exploring
other
that
ways to
before,
reinforce,
because how will the city enforce maintenance on these private properties, private residential properties? The other issue becomes then if the city wants to maintain it and own it, you don't wanna own that on some of these properties. So stormwater on commercial developments is a lot easier to do than on these residential homes. And to be honest, so many residential homes are the same size as a commercial development, so.
It's true. So I remember that you did bring things, I thought, to the planning commission, and they were turned down. So there have been explored, they were turned down.
Yes, we've asked for more strict
Yes.
ordinances related to it.
Yes, and they were
And
turned
the way
down.
we've handled it is being able to talk with applicants about concerns of the city, and when they get close to an open space and they get close to asking for all these things, they understand the concern and have been willing to work with us. It has been going well.
We had that situation, and it was with a pond, and it was in a neighborhood, and it was private, and that was supposed to handle the stormwater, and the neighbor never maintained it, didn't touch it. It was built, never maintained it, so therefore, all these trees and leaves and everything went into the pond, and it didn't work, it flooded other people, so.
maybe this last slide, it's not the last slide, but maybe this is the place where I should end. What the record shows, the ordinance keeps people from using the land they pay for. Removing the exceptions does not take away from the home, driveway, walkway, or patio an owner can build. It simply stops impervious paving from being counted as open space. And that's the way that we've approached this study.
But correct me if I'm wrong, if you're still leaving the percentage exactly the same, but you're not giving them the exception for their driveway or walkways or any patio, so it all has to be included, so it's much more strict, and it sounds like it to me. I just think I would like the planning commission to review this, I would like their expertise, you know,
Yeah,
I do not
that's,
want us to be making any decisions this evening.
Well, I don't think we were making decisions, I think this
Well,
was,
some commissioners have been bringing ordinances forward and with full verbiage and expecting us to vote on them without seeing them beforehand, so I'm just
Well,
asking that we take this to the planning commission.
we have, I think the objective of this discussion was, to be honest with you, Brad and I were talking, and I said, I don't understand this, I mean, I just didn't, and so we both said, Amy said, we have this presentation, we wanted to do it at the planning commission, but the planning commission, for some reason, just wouldn't let us do it. So, you know, we saw no harm in just, this is not for us to vote on, it's for all of us to understand what is the issue,
Okay, fine.
so.
right?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
absolutely, and if I may, maybe this is premature, but I would like to move that we do have planning commission take a look at this, specifically the walkway exception. I think there's something wrong with that. I think there's something wrong when we say it's okay to basically pave your property in a square footage that is larger than the footprint of your home. there's something wrong there and it needs to be looked at, and I would move that the planning commission takes a look at that specifically. As to the driveway credit, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding. I can just tell from the conversation, the driveway credit is a benefit to the homeowner. It gives them extra space to build. And Amy's correct that it's inconsistent depending on where your house is on the lot. You can get a greater credit if you're further back versus a lesser credit toward the front of your lot. But it's a pretty easy thing to calculate. It's been around forever, and I would recommend, at least at this point, maybe leaving that as is for the moment until we can get the walkway situation understood. So that would be my motion, is to have planning commission review the walkway exception and try to understand why is it that we would allow someone to basically pave their property in square footage that is larger than the footprint of their home. And I think there might have been a mistake along the way, so I'd like that looked at.
Would they need to conduct a public hearing on it?
Yeah, this is part of the zoning ordinance, so the planning commission does need to review anything before it comes to the city commission for a decision. And they are required to not only do a study, but also conduct a public hearing on it, and then make a recommendation.
You know, Brad, I got,
Yes.
Come back to us.
yeah,
That's
makes,
good.
it really
I
does.
mean, they're working on a lot of things, aren't they? The
Hey,
moratorium and
Yeah,
the
but
other
let's
ordinance and the-
let's get to the
This is a
first.
fairly narrow
Right, yeah.
topic. so-
Brad, I'm gonna tell you my problem is that I know the Fishers and they're not gonna knock their house down. Some idiot's gonna, son of a rich guy's gonna knock my house down on the fifth green so I can have the right view. And I know darn well that he won't be able to build a big enough house because of that curved driveway. There's at least five houses in our Pine Ridge subdivision that have lengthy driveways because of the hill configuration. They're just built on hills. And the driveways are not straight driveways. And that's why I'm so worried about it. It's not just me.
I can just tell you, I have a very small patio, and I have a 3-bedroom house, and I would be in violation of the 20%.
Yeah, because of the driveway thing.
Not only, but you're applying it to your lot that is, double, and these percentages are not correct.
Well,
I
I'm not
I
really
don't think we're looking at the visual, like, this is an example visually, we're talking percentages. And when you apply that 20% without exceptions, I only have a small patio out the back,
I'm not suggesting that.
and I would have to,
I'm just suggesting.
would not
that
get that.
Planning commission look at the walkway exception, mostly around the math and the original intent of it, because I think that there's something not right there.
You want to make that as a
I think
motion?
Mark wants to make that.
Just to clarify, I think you've already referred this proposal to the planning commission. So if there's action to be taken, it would be to, if I understand it correctly, to modify that to limit it only to the walkway exception, not the driveway, correct?
Oh, that's your motion, to limit it just to the walkway, not to the.
Yeah, and to the driveway concerns, I mean, leaving the driveway exception credit is going to be helpful to your point of it's going to add to the open space, so that means you can build more on your property with the driveway credit. And I'm suggesting that we just leave that alone for now, and that we look at this walkway exception, and if it's already been referred, then, I mean, what is my motion?
I think your motion would be to modify the referral to limit the planning commission's review to only the sidewalk exception, not the driveway exception.
Okay, and what about a time limit? I mean,
You're making my house not.
this is a fairly narrow topic, I mean, I would think.
Yes, but they're working on so many things, and they're all volunteers. I just
Anybody
think
who builds
all
that
these
lot in my
restrictions
house is
you've
gonna be in
created,
trouble.
that they have to have the entire committee together to make any, all this.
We had a very, I would
I just-
have to say, we had a very productive and good meeting today. We have very strong planning commissioners on there now. We, everybody was contributing to the conversation, and the 3 items we had, we got through them very quickly, and we had an hour and a half of talking about the Jill's, and it was, I mean, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but to me, it was, everybody was
Everybody got to
contributing
contribute.
and talking, and there was no, oh my God, we gotta get this done, they actually said,
Of course,
this
they're all
was
very
really,
accomplished.
yes, and they said, this is really good. Their comments were, this was interesting, they liked being able to deliberate in person and participate, and, you know, they have a plan, we're getting it back. They even, I mean, we don't have to, but they're like, we like this, we wanna meet, can we talk
Of
about this in
course,
August?
Of course.
So it's not
But
like,
let them do it on their timeline. I don't want us dictating, you know, you must get it done
Well, I
by this
mean,
time, you must do it
but
this way.
That's our job.
We need to show
That's our
respect for
job.
the planning commission, and they do that. I just.
but can we just put this as an agenda item for, the August meeting?
Well, I mean, in truth here, I'm actually reducing,
You are,
Yeah.
so.
you are reducing their,
So
yeah.
I'm taking away something that they were already working
Could you
on, so.
put the driveway back in there, because I think the calculation, if a driveway, a straight line is 170 feet, the driveway requires 770 feet to be safely go. How many
It's
feet?
an exception, not a requirement. It's an exception. It gives you, it just calculates the square footage
Okay,
that you can apply back to your open space. Because it's assumed that everybody needs a driveway, so if, and you can apply that to the open space, so how do you calculate it? So it's just a way of calculating it. It doesn't have anything to do with what your driveway actually looks like. It's just a way to calculate square footage that you add back to the open space. It's a credit.
Mayor, may I
Yeah,
make a
go ahead.
comment? I think what the staff is trying to do, and I think to Commissioner Baxter's point, we're leave the driveway exception in there. But we need to find a way to find some data. We need to look at this over like a year's period of time. So if you remove that 30% exception, we're finding that people are using maybe 5%. And 5% to the engineers is a big deal where there's a lot of stormwater issues. One of the main complaints we get from our code enforcement officer is water issues. So if we can work to eliminate just that 30% exception, we can look at that for a year and just have some empirical data to see if it helps. There is lots of ways to manage water. The problem is the city commission in the past, and until we came up with this, I agree with them now because we came up with this, but it's a big ask to make a homeowner build a big home and then put all this infrastructure in the property to manage the water. It's a lot of money, a lot of requirements, and it's a lot of,
But they wanna be able to build what they wanna build, and
Yeah.
that would be part of the requirement. I don't think that's asking too
It's-
much. I see it all through Florida, they all have to do it, and they understand water is a problem, and they need to manage, it's like the
Right.
data centers have to provide their own, energy.
anyways, I just wanna make, my point was just this, is that leave the driveway exception in there. The 30% can be dangerous overall moving forward.
okay.
And if we can have some empirical data over a year's period of time, you can always switch things around. These are living documents. Like, you can always
Okay.
move
Which
things
you
around.
rarely do, so we gotta get it right, and I'd like to get the right,
That's,
approval from the planning commission. I would
well,
like
yeah,
them
I'm
to
not,
have the time
I just
to-
wanted to comment on why we're doing this, why we think it's a good idea, and why every single person on our staff thinks it's a good idea, including our engineers and our planners and us through our study. So, we would just appreciate that.
Do you wanna keep your motion? What would you like to do?
Yeah, I'd like to keep it. I think we need to leave the driveway
Second.
credit.
Okay, you second?
Mhm.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, let's move
I
forward.
appreciate all the time that
There you go.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
for all
You're
your
welcome.
work.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the commission will consider the approval of the resolution approving participation in the Oakland County Clemis Authority interlocal agreement. In addition to that, we are going to be talking about appointing the Public Safety Director, Jeff King, to serve a 4-year term on the Clemis Authority Board pursuant to Article 4, Section 4.1A4 of their interlocal agreement. So it sounds like we're giving you more work.
Not really.
Okay, all right, who's gonna take this?
I can, well,
Chief, yeah,
Okay.
please, thank you.
rather simple, and,
Yep.
please correct me if I'm wrong.
The Clemis system, this is basically a reauthorization of what we already have in place, the system that we use. It's our primary investigative records management, documentation, citation system throughout Oakland County. It's transitioned away from Oakland County IT supervising and employing it to an independent authority. Much of this is already in place. Nothing operationally will change on our end. Some structures will change on their end, the authority, be it Oakland County versus a independent coordinated authority. And then the appointing me to that board, I've already served on that advisory board that they have for many, many years. So it's a lot of verbiage change, and Mark, if I'm in error, please correct me. It was a transition on their part. Nothing will pretty much change on our part, and this is gonna, the new agreement with the authority and not Oakland County IT.
Oh, good,
Mark,
okay.
have you reviewed the
I did.
contracts and
I did,
you're okay
yes,
with them?
yes.
All of this?
Yes.
So it's moving away from Oakland County to a private.
Supervision management of the Clemis Authority or the Clemis system has moved away. Retained many of the same employees, appointed a new board, a little bit of a different structure as opposed to just police, firemen, or fire, police, and courts. It's got some private involvement in it now.
Okay, all right. Any questions? If
Are
not,
there any
can I have?
security concerns?
Need a motion?
Nothing operationally, everything is still, on our end is the same.
So moved. I have moved that we approve this resolution approving participation in the Oakland County Clemis Authority and appointing Jeff King to serve a 4-year term.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, the commission will discuss the property maintenance ordinance and enforcement. Do you-
Mayor, I hope, you read the, did you read the memo? The memo we wrote about, so
I did.
if you,
I don't know if you guys did, but I did.
so we appreciate Mayor McCarthy bringing this issue to us and making sure that we're doing the right things with property maintenance. It can be an issue at times. We think we have a good process and how we handle things. Just to let the city commission know how we handle property maintenance issues is we provide a notice of violation. And our code enforcement officer gives a certain time limit depending, within his, within his thought of how much time he wants to give depending on the situation. So he has discretion on how he does that. But typically, if there's a property maintenance situation, he'll provide a notice of violation. Maybe it's 10 days, maybe it's 15 days. He works with the community, works with the residents, and he usually gets compliance. And there are times when we do write violations, and we work closely with the prosecuting attorney. I did write in a memo that there is one, I would call it an anomaly because there was one situation with a property that I know the mayor knows about, and she personally checked it out. That's a real problem, but we did have a court order that is going to allow us to take care of that property maintenance. We're gonna hire a management company, and the homeowner of the property is a foreign company. So for several years, we're able to work with them, but in the last year or two, we just can't get a hold of anybody, and so we're having to go through this somewhat of a process that we don't normally go through. But overall, I just wanted to, the mayor asked us to document what type of violations that we're currently dealing with vacant lots and unoccupied dwellings. And I think it's a good exercise because it made me realize that I think we have a pretty good process. Johnny has a pretty good handle on things, but I asked John, who's our code enforcement officer, to be here tonight to discuss, sort of the regulations that he deals with. He knows these by heart. The problem is, and maybe the city commission may want to consider something, any changes in regulations, but we follow the International Property Maintenance Code and a few other regulations within our ordinance. But they do not allow us to make the house pristine or what would be considered up to the standards of a typical Bloomfield Hills home. In other words, you know, we require them to cut the weeds and grass and trim the bushes, but we only require that certain times and certain heights, you know, so you can have 7-inch or 6-inch tall grass or weeds, and then we come in to make those. But John can talk to this more, but in most cases, John takes, you know, has discussions with the property owners, and he doesn't allow the weeds to usually get that high, and he usually builds a rapport, and we're able to manage these things. But I thought it was a good idea for the mayor thought there should be some discussion on this to make sure we're doing the right thing. So we're here to listen to you and answer any questions and follow your direction.
May I ask if you think there need to be stricter qualifications or change what is acceptable and what's not?
John?
It depends on, again, I think a lot of it is from neighboring properties. People don't even have to rake the leaves if they don't want to. To me, personally, that's an eyesore. I think it is. It's not in our ordinance. I get a lot of complaints on it. Can't make people rake their leaves. Can't make people plant flowers. There's a lot of plain houses out here. There's nothing that says they have to plant anything with color or flowers or anything like that. I get a lot of complaints on that. There are a couple houses, these houses are probably 5 years old. They have grass and that is it. Not a shrub, not a tree, and they have extra projects going on right now, putting pools in, and they never put a stitch of landscape in other than the front and back lawn. So there's nothing that says you even have to have, again, the bushes or shrubs or trees or anything like that. It's
So-
pretty basic.
I do understand, like Lake Forest, they do require, like, you must have so many trees this height, and you must have in the front yard, and, I mean, it's, I think other communities do require a certain number of bushes. And,
So, in this particular instance, it's not, we should, this isn't, you know, a problem for our community, but if I was I am the one house that's on a street that they haven't touched their landscaping. They're flipping the house and they haven't touched it, and they go in and they clear everything out. They clear all the bushes out, and then they come and they mow the lawn and they weed whack all the weeds that are up next to the house, and then they call it a day. And then, like, there's dandelions in the house.
so what do you suggest that we change?
And then there's another house that's the same thing, that's close, that again is another flip. It's vacant, it hasn't been touched in 2 years. And, you know, if I had to look at that house for 2 years, and I met John at the house, I mean, there's a bathtub in the front yard full of weeds.
There's gotta be something against that, is there?
So,
Well, it looks as though it was used as a planter. It's been there forever.
yeah, it looks, I mean, it's planter, but so it's the eye of the beholder what beauty is. And then when John was talking, we were talking about vacant lots too, that they become a challenge with it too. My suggestion is I'd like to look at this and maybe tighten it up a little bit. John, I'd love your suggestions on what we could do, because you see this every single day. And maybe what you said, looking at Lake Forest or other communities that have it, and just, you know, it's right. You talked about the leaves. So 2 doors down, this person moved, and his corporate company bought the house, and so they didn't do anything for a whole fall. Their leaves, everything, and they all blew over in our yards, and that's kind of, so to me.
That seems like a minimum.
It's a minimum, yeah. People should be able to, you have to have your leaves cleaned up. I think that this whole, and what I've since learned is flippers like to do this, where they like to come and cut down all the shrubs and everything and do just a bare minimum with the weed whacker and the mowing. So, John, I don't know if this is too much for you, but if you could give us some recommendations, you don't have to do that tonight, but if you could give some recommendations to Amy and Dave, is it possible?
I just,
You're looking at me.
I think you need to temper your expectations a little bit, because you can't really regulate taste, okay? There's
Can we say
there's
in
limits
keeping?
on what you can do to tell people what they can do with their property. You know, blight is one thing,
Uh-huh.
but I don't know if you could classify somebody not raking their leaves as blight. You know, maybe they're embracing the natural vista of fall. You know,
As stretching it.
whatever it is, but I'm not saying don't explore tightening it up a little bit, but there needs to be a recognition that there's only so much you can do.
Okay, that's fair, but I mean, I don't know if anybody else has any other comments, but I would suggest we try to tighten it up just a little bit as to the extent where we can.
You know, what I could do is I could take a look at all the regulations that we currently have and just see what all other communities do. And you might be able to pull something from somewhere to give us an idea, and we can just bring a report back to you folks, and you can discuss it.
Thank you. You
We'll
know.
bring it back in August, how about that?
I don't,
We did something similar with the tree ordinance, when we, brush piles and tree limbs and things like that. We never had anything like that before until about 3 or 4 years ago. We picked apart a couple of neighboring city ordinances and stuff like that, and it worked. It helps me, I can tell you that, it really does.
that would be great. That would be terrific. I just think we need to tighten it up just a little bit, and I don't care if, you know, the reputation out there is that, oh, they don't allow this. It's not fair to the residents on the street. I mean, we live with looking at this for 2 years, walking down, and it's not fair when everybody else is taking care of their property. Okay, so there's really no motion, just you guys follow up
Yeah,
with it?
we'll bring it back to you in August.
Okay, all right, that sounds good. Next one, the commission will consider the font selection for the citywide street signage. Is this, can you?
Take this one?
I didn't want, I was like, yes, please.
So I think, you know, we've looked at this quite a bit, and I think we narrowed our choices. My perception was we narrowed it down to these 2 fonts, and I just wanted the commission to weigh in on which one we should proceed with. And I'm pretty neutral on both of them. I could go either way, but I thought we should come to a decision so that the city can start implementing the sign replacements as needed. And the font selection is part of that, so.
And do we need to vote on the wood versus the metal as well?
I think we had decided previously that we're going to go with the wood within the neighborhoods, and then on thoroughfares, we'll use on the major thoroughfares, we're going to use.
Just the major ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll use the metal signs. And to that point or question, I would recommend that once we decide the font and once we get started, that we prioritize streets like Woodward and the main thoroughfares with the metal signs maybe first. Because there's been some comments from residents that would be the preferred, you know, priority is get those, because it's really hard to see some of those signs when you're traveling at 45, 50 miles an hour.
But soon you won't be because
We don't,
Yeah, soon we'll be
Stop.
using other streets, but,
yeah.
so,
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
And you're okay with the current 6-inch, blade
yes,
with the caps?
yeah, sorry, I was gonna clarify, 6-inch blade with 3-inch.
Is it gonna be larger on Woodward, the font? Same size blade, but
The
larger
font will be
on Woodward?
slightly larger
Okay.
on the metal blades on the thoroughfares.
On the thoroughfares, great.
Anybody have any comment then regarding,
Sure.
do you have a font you like better?
The roadway font is very simple, and it's what the state recommends, right? Or would normally implement? If
I am not sure, I'm
we
not
were
exactly sure
compliant
about
with
what
the
the state
state.
would recommend,
It
but
would
you're
be
right,
the
it is a
one
simpler.
thing that we'd be compliant with. And it is the most similar to what we have in the city now. So if we're mixing in signs,
Mhm.
new and old, because we're only replacing as dilapidated signs by neighborhood. For the simplicity, I would think the roadway font would be best. But I like the personality of the Shannon font, but
Can you remind me, how did we come up with the Shannon font? Like, why did we choose that? Of all farms that are out there.
Well, it was one of 5, and it was sort of one of the final contenders.
Oh, okay, I just wondered, okay. Alan?
Oh, I have no comment on this at all. This started before I got here, and I refuse to touch this thing with the
Okay.
5-foot broom or whatever they call it.
Alice?
Near it.
I'm fine with whichever one we want. The roadway font is fine with me. Can you make a motion?
Sure, I'm fine with it too, is that okay?
Brad, how do you feel?
I'm fine with it as well. Yeah.
Do we need to make a motion on everything else too? Then maybe you need to make it.
I thought that was decided.
Regarding the metal signs,
Yeah.
And wood in the neighborhood. And,
I think it wouldn't hurt.
Okay,
you want me to make a
do we need
motion?
that, Mark?
I thought that had already been decided, but if there's a question, there's no harm in
Okay.
doing it again.
That's fine, go ahead.
Move that we select the roadway font, for the signs replacing the existing signs. We use the wood in the neighborhoods and the metal on the major thoroughfares and prioritize, starting with the signs on the major thoroughfare first,
And a 6-inch blade with
in a 6-inch blade,
Okay.
3-inch text.
3-inch text.
And to only replace the dilapidated signs as needed,
Yes.
not a wholesale change.
All right, do I have a, second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Good, we got that done.
Great.
Totally.
6 months.
I think we first started it about
A
2
couple
years
years
ago.
ago.
Yeah, a couple years.
Phew. The commission, next item, the commission will consider the quotes for a citywide citizen survey. Dave, Amy?
Mayor, we were given direction by the city commission to get quotes for a citizen survey, and actually Amy worked very hard to try to get quotes, and she was only able to get 2, one from Cobalt, who we've used before, and then this Mitchell company. The Mitchell proposal isn't as complete, I don't think, as the Cobalt. So we're a little concerned about that, but this is all we're able to do over quite a bit of effort to hire a company to do this. So this is our,
Is that because they're kind of archaic, or there's?
I think what we found was the message is out there that we've always used Cobalt. We're happy with Cobalt, and I think the folks were just didn't want to waste their time in providing. That's what actually a couple of them told us. So.
Okay.
There's a big price discrepancy.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that the one from Mitchell
Let's
is.
see the prices, where are the prices?
It doesn't seem very complete, is that
No.
just me?
No,
Dave,
I-
it seems like I'm doing the survey, I'm sending it out there, and I'm,
Right, so one of the things that weren't very complete is the mailing component of it, and, we can call them about it, we don't think they're very clear about it. But they're, even that company's not real responsive.
well, I think could be a matter of you get what you pay for. We've used Cobalt before, and, they're pretty thorough, they know us, they know what we expect. So,
See, I didn't see that, the cost difference, where's that? What is the cost difference?
the Cobalt one is this one, it's 24,125. And the Mitchell one, you have to go to the second,
4,090, here it is.
yeah, about 5,000.
Mayor?
Alan, comments? Anybody?
Not yet.
Oh, I'm sorry, Amy.
I was just gonna comment on the Cobalt one, they gave you the option if there were things that you wanted to reduce the price. If you went from 6 pages to 4 pages, it's $5,500 less. I know the mailing component was important to the commission when you talked about surveys, so they tried to find other ways that you could eliminate a few costs, and those are the options there below. I think there's 3 options, but Cobalt, it was very responsive. When I asked for the quote, they turned it around in 24 hours.
Yeah, they've been around forever.
I would like to see them reduce the cost, and take the 2 pages out, and
Why don't we have them, that can be part of the motion?
have a short attention.
What's the difference in price?
It's, the Cobalt price, total price is 24,125, and the Mitchell price is 4,950. I agree with Commissioner Fisher's comments. We don't, if you take a look at this survey that was done in 2008 or whatever, Amy, is that right?
2008,
8,
9.
9. I think what we found today during the planning commission, some of the wording, some of the things are not really applicable. I think they can get it down to 2 pages and get a better response rate. I would agree, and then that would lower the cost for the city. Anybody else? Brad, any comments?
It was from 6 to 4 as a reduction, but you're saying we could maybe get it down to 2 pages, so that would be
Yeah, I don't think people are gonna answer 4-page
a
survey.
further reduction.
Yes, it would be.
And
Look at the survey
these were the
before.
questions we wanted to
I had no-
repeat that
I'm
were
really
from the prior
confused.
survey,
Right.
and it's just 2 pages.
2 pages, yeah, so
So-
we would get it, that would get it down,
Would they
minus
reduce it to
5,500.
less pages, Amy?
I'm sure I can talk to them. I think the only other question is the last bullet point is, did you want the entire voting list, because that was an additional, if you want the entire city, or if you want it to the household. Those are 2 different.
oh, to the
To
household.
the household.
To the household, definitely.
Just one
So-
per household.
Yeah, 1 per household.
Okay, so there should be a savings, and I'll talk to them about from 4 to 2 pages.
Okay, so that's only 1,600
Should we wait
houses,
to
right?
hear what the new proposal would be before we?
Yes, we're not gonna approve it today, are we?
I mean, does it change from Mitchell to?
I'll remind them
No.
that Mitchell's $5,000.
Yeah, but you're not getting much,
I know,
yeah.
but I just want to remind them.
So you're looking at least a 10,000, if not more, reduction, Amy, right?
Possibly.
Yeah, and then by the time you use your negotiating skills, I mean, we're down to around 14,000. We could take our motion not to exceed. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Huh?
I think that's good.
Can you work with that?
Sandra, are we okay with spending this?
Sandra?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Are we okay with spending this?
I believe there's room in the budget. Specifically, that it wasn't placed in the budget, but, we have a miscellaneous, professional services.
Thank you.
Is there a timeline? That was the question I couldn't answer when I spoke to the companies. Is there a timeline the commission's interested in? Cobalt had indicated that in his experience, it seems like sending out a survey closer to when school gets back in session, people, after summer, they had a better success rate.
Let's wait.
I would agree.
So if I talk to him in the commission, if I can give him feedback so he can fit in his schedule,
Mhm.
with the other surveys, if that's what the commission wishes.
So October it would go out?
This
September.
Does
Right.
Cobalt do
December?
political? Steve Mitchell does political. Does Cobalt, political survey
I
taker?
don't know.
I don't know, I know they do automotive.
I'm just asking because I'd wait till November if they're political, because I don't think a good product will go out, and people get so much mail, they'll throw this, well, you can't send this till November
Oh.
8th, 10th.
Right.
You're gonna, I mean, we're gonna have,
I think you have a window between the August and November election. If you sent this in September,
I do
think
too.
you're probably safe.
You'd be safe, yeah.
okay,
Okay, can we have a motion?
sure, do we negotiate this, give Amy the power to negotiate this for a top number of $13,818. You said 14,000, didn't you? It's all right.
Challenge accepted.
This one says you're adding 50. That's a trade.
Add 50, oh, it does.
If we wanted to send it to all the residents.
And we want to send it only to the households. and
No,
not
this
all
is
the
if we do,
residents.
yeah, to Commissioner Fisher's, that's the 3,500, that's all the residents. There's only 1,600 households, aren't there?
Yes.
So it's reducing, so it's not.
No, it's the same price.
It's the same price if we do, that's right, it's not reducing, it's the same price. How about if we make it, Amy, can we do this within 15,000?
I believe so.
Can we do it for what do you want, 13,818 or 14,818?
I think the 15 would be better for the record.
Make it 14,818, please. I'm telling you, 18 is a good number, it's a good luck number.
I know, I know.
I'll second that.
Look at all
I
my
know.
settlements, $18 at all.
All right, that's fine. That's good. You got that, Amy? Okay.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay. The commission will consider the approval of the election inspectors to serve in the August 4th, temporary, and enact a temporary polling location for precinct 2 at City Hall. So what are we doing, Amy?
So I'm gonna talk the whole night, and I'm not gonna talk for another year until the next election. All of these things seem to be my items. So the first thing, election inspectors, you always appoint the election inspectors. These are seasoned election workers who've worked for us. We will be hosting early voting because it's more than just a local election. So early voting will start July 25th and go through August 2nd here at City Hall. And that proposal isn't changing. That's been consistent since we've had early voting. So the item that was added on was our need to find a more permanent location for precinct 2 voters. So the commission will recall that we used the Kingsley Hotel for the election last November for precinct 2 voters. And while they accommodated us, it wasn't the most convenient option for voters for access to get into the building. So I've been looking for the past almost year for options. We're really limited, but I had a couple with early voting options, with absentee ballots, having precinct 2 vote here is only adding about